Over the course of your career, you're going to earn a bunch of awards that are going to be tracked in your records and are going to be worn in various ways on different uniforms. First of all, there are going to be full-size medals, which are for very formal events, and there are also like mini medals for like dinner uniforms and mess uniforms, but you may never wear these at all your entire career, especially if you only do 4 years, because the opportunity just isn't there. But what you are going to wear throughout your career is the more casual version of these awards called the service ribbon, which are usually referred to as just ribbons. And each one of them is like a little rectangle, a little segment of that awards cloth that you wear above your left pocket. You see them like stacked up like little bricks above the person's left pocket. Those are service ribbons. Each one represents a certain thing you've achieved or a certain place that you've been, something that you've done. Your first opportunity to earn some of these awards is going to be right after you arrive to boot camp. A few weeks into training, you're going to go down to the gun range and shoot the M18 pistol. There's going to be more opportunities throughout your career in A school and at real commands to fire the pistol and the rifle and earn marksmanship ribbons based on those weapons, but your first opportunity is the M18 pistol in boot camp. You can earn ribbons for the pistol, ribbons for the rifle, one of each, and if you shoot expert, meaning you get a high enough score to become pistol or rifle expert, it goes from being just a ribbon to being a full-size medal. What kind of a score that you achieve on each weapon is going to change the device on the ribbon. So if you get regular marksman, it's just blank. It's just the regular ribbon with the 2 stripes on it, or 3 stripes if it's a rifle ribbon. It could be sharpshooter, you put a bronze S on there, and if it's expert, it's going to be a silver E. No matter what job you picked when you joined the Navy, you're going to have the opportunity to earn the pistol ribbon in boot camp, but not everybody's going to have the same opportunity to earn the rifle ribbon, but MAs like me and the MAs around me, we all got a chance to get it. So like I said, you're going to shoot in boot camp, you're going to shoot in A school. If you're like an MA or a different rating, you're going to have more opportunities at your first command, second command, every command you go to. And every time you shoot again, if you get a better score there than you did the last time you shot, you can upgrade your ribbon. And if your score is not as good as last time, you can keep the higher ribbon you already had. Next up is the National Defense Service Medal. Simply said, if the United States is at war or if there's like a higher level of danger, they'll have the medal activated. So you get it automatically when you graduate boot camp across all the branches. But as of December 2022, they deactivated the award. So once it gets reactivated, it's possible it's activated again by the time you watch this video and join. But as of the time of this filming, it's deactivated and people are leaving boot camp without it. If you join the military and the award is still deactivated and then it's activated, you're going to receive 1. If you joined while it was already active, deactivated, and then activated again, you're going to have technically 2, which means you have the ribbon and then a bronze service star inserted showing you have 2. So besides the pistol ribbon and the National Defense Service Medal, you also have the opportunity to earn the Recruit Honor Graduate Ribbon. If you're interested in how to receive that, it's a separate video because it's kind of a long topic, but you can also receive that in Navy boot camp. So that means you have the opportunity to earn up to 4 different awards throughout boot camp and A school. And once you receive more than 2, you need to make sure you're not wearing them in the wrong order, and we're going to cover how you know that later. Once you complete A school and C school, if you have to go to C school, and go to your first command, your second command, your third command, you're going to start to accumulate different awards that kind of allow someone to read your chest like it's a resume, because it shows all the things you've done, all the places you've been, everything you've accomplished. You're likely to receive the GWAT or the GWAT Expeditionary Medal at your first command, for instance. If you're directly involved in an anti-terrorism operation and you've been there for 30 days, you can qualify to receive the GWAT Expeditionary. And for the GWAT, if it's a named military operation that's an anti-terrorism operation, you're going to receive that. Both of these medals used to pretty much be automatic awards after the graduation of boot camp, just like the National Defense Service Medal. Because if you joined, you're pretty much helping the war on terror. But ever since the end of 2022, they changed it so that you have to be part of a specific anti-terrorism operation to receive them, but still, they're pretty likely to be awarded. There's a whole bunch of these medals called service medals or campaign medals, and long story short, if you're sent somewhere for 30 days consecutively or 60 days non-consecutively, meaning days in a row or not, you're going to automatically receive these awards because of where you've been and where you've been deployed. A lot of these service medals and campaign medals are going to come automatically through osmosis without you actively choosing to go after them, because everybody that's there is going to get it and you're one of them that's also going to get it. If you're sent to an overseas command, you're going to receive the Overseas Service Ribbon after 1 year, and if you're sent to a ship, you're going to receive the Sea Service Deployment Ribbon over time. Truth be told, if your goal is to have a giant rack of ribbons, which really shouldn't be that big of a goal, but if that's what you want, what you should do is go to a ship because that's where most awards are given. Since I got deployed to the Middle East, I got more awards than my friends did that were stationed in Norfolk or Kings Bay, but I didn't get as many awards as the people that were sent to ships did. After 3 years of service, you're going to qualify to receive the Good Conduct Medal, and it's basically for staying out of trouble. And the good news is if you get counseling chits, meaning like a little slip of paper that says you've been talked to about something, that doesn't count against it. But if you get into bigger trouble like NJP, non-judicial punishment, XOI, and captain's mast, basically if you get into big trouble, it's going to invalidate the medal. You're not going to receive it. So stay out of trouble. Over time, the command you're stationed at is going to go through inspections, and if the unit does really well in those inspections, you're going to receive a unit award. For ships, it's likely to be the E ribbon or the unit commendation, but for shore commands like what we did here, we received the meritorious unit commendation for passing our regional inspection. It can also be the Presidential Unit Citation, which is a very, very high-level version of the same award. Also for unit awards, if you're attached to an Army unit or an Air Force unit, even a Coast Guard unit, and they receive an award, you receive it also. So if they receive the Army Achievement Medal, you're attached to that unit, you're going to receive it also. So that's why you see like chiefs and officers that they're in the Navy, but they have the Air Force Achievement Medal or the Army Commendation. There's also going to be transfer awards. So basically when you complete a command, you did all your time there, it's time to leave and go to a different one. You might get a medal or something else when you leave that place. So for like E6 and below, that's Petty Officer First Class, like for example MA1 and below, they're pretty likely to receive the Navy Achievement Medal or NAM for short. For E1s through E5s, you also might receive the Letter of Appreciation instead of a NAM or any other medal, which I affectionately call the Friend Zone Letter. Like, it's nice, but it's not chest candy. So for like the lower rates, there's going to be the NAM, which is the Navy Achievement Medal. For like chiefs and officers, you might receive the Navy Commendation, which is kind of like the same thing as a NAM except higher. And then for even higher, if you're like a flag officer, a senior officer, the commanding officer, when you leave, you're going to receive possibly the Legion of Merit, which is like a very, very, very high version of the same thing. It's also possible to receive the Meritorious Service Medal, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the Defense Superior Service Medal, but those are common for like, really special achievements, for like organizing very specific things, or for retirement ceremonies. Those awards show up, especially for officers. You can also get the Navy Achievement Medal from like getting Sailor of the Year and from other things, but so far, as far as I can tell, the easiest way to get it is to just transfer commands. They're probably going to give you that or something else, at least in LOA. By the way, these awards like the Navy Achievement Medal are worth points for like promotions to the next pay grade, but that's a topic for a different day. It seems like everybody that was in during, shall we say, the events of 2020 received either the Armed Forces Service Medal or the Humanitarian Service Medal. But there are still possible ways to get it besides that, especially if you're attached to a ship or some other unit that helps out a population after like a hurricane or some kind of disaster. If you help out the community, you're likely to receive the Humanitarian Service Medal. The Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal is another one you can receive, but you kind of have to go out of your way. You really have to go out of your way to achieve it, to earn it. So what you can do is pick up volunteer hours at your command. They'll put out events like, hey, we have this going on, this event, that event. You can do this for 2 hours, that for 2 hours. If you volunteer for those events and pick up those hours, keep the certificates because you need proof you did it. You can't just show photographs of you being there. They're not going to believe you. So keep the certificates of you being there. And once you accumulate enough hours, it can change from command to command. It might be 100 hours. It might be 500 hours across different commands. But once you have enough hours and proof that you did it, you can turn it into your admin department of your command and say, hey, this is my package. Is this good enough for the OVSM? And if it is, you're going to receive it. People usually go for this award when they're trying to make like second class or chief or put an officer package together, because it really helps to distinguish you versus other people. Like, hey, you went out, you did all this stuff that other people didn't do. You helped out the community. You really made an impact. and that's going to make a difference, and it does help. I'll give an example of a volunteer event. One that I did was I went off base and I helped people learn English by having a normal conversation with a native speaker, so they can practice what they've learned by talking to someone that already speaks English naturally, and we can compare how they talk to how a natural speaker talks. It's very helpful, and it counted as volunteer hours. I have the certificate to prove it. Again, once you have enough of those certificates that say you volunteered for so many hours and it adds up to 100 hours, 300 hours, 500 hours, whatever your command wants, you can turn that package in, you should be good to go. There's also going to be awards for being a recruiter, an RDC, and even a ceremonial guard. For non-combat heroism, like saving someone's life, like if someone's drowning and you save them, there's the Navy Marine Corps Medal. Of course, there's a bunch of combat awards like the Navy Cross and Silver Star and like the Purple Heart for being wounded by the enemy, and you probably already know about those. There's really no need to go in depth about them, but there's the mention of them. Next is the Combat Action Ribbon. You probably shouldn't be in a rush to get it, but if you come under attack, under fire from the enemy, you're going to receive it. And like some other awards, it's a ribbon-only award, meaning there is no full-size medal equivalent for that. So not every award is going to have a full-size medal equivalent. So like if you have like the Pistol Marksman, the Combat Action Ribbon, or if you have like the MUC, the Meritorious Unit Commendation, when it's time to wear the full-size medals, you can't have like ribbons and medals put together at the same time. The full-size medals go on one side on the dress uniform, and the ribbon-only awards are going to go on the other side. So once you start to accumulate a bunch of awards, you need to make sure that you're wearing them correctly, because if you don't, you're going to look like you don't know what you're doing, and even worse, you might even get in trouble. Some of the ribbons look really similar to each other. Some of the ribbons require stars or oak leaves or other devices like the EGA or the V for Valor device. You need to make sure all of them are correct and worn in the correct order, especially if you're wearing that for like to pass a board, to get like Sailor of the Month or something like that, and for special ceremonies. So first of all, if you have like 6 ribbons, they all have to be put into the correct order on the rack. And by rack, I mean when you have the ribbons, they're like little bricks, like little Lego blocks that you put onto the rack. And the rack is the little metal piece. It's like a frame template that you put the ribbons onto. So if you have like say 6 ribbons, you go to the next, which is the Navy Exchange, basically the store, and you're going to see on the shelf, like on the wall, they're going to have all the different racks, and above each one it's going to say how many it's supposed to hold. So like a 4-place, a 6-place, a 12-place, or whatever. However many you have, you buy that one. It can be a little frustrating to have like 7 ribbons and then you receive an 8th award. So you have to take all the ribbons off the rack, go buy a new one, put all of them onto the new one, plus the one new one. But the alternative is to like wait until you need it. And if you do that, there's a chance you go to the store, like say they announce a uniform inspection, you go to the store and you look for the 8-place rack and you see it's sold out because other people already rushed in and bought it from your section. So what you can do is just buy it, have it on hand, and then when you need it, it's there for you. On your ribbon rack, the higher and to the left an award is, the more prestigious it is, and the lower and to the right it is, the less prestigious it is. So like your most important stuff is going to be on the upper left, and like foreign awards and like the NATO medals and marksmanship awards are always going to be last. Anyways, to make sure you have all of your ribbons in the right order, what you can do is go onto one of these like ribbon rack builder websites, and you can put all of your awards in there, and it's going to place them on the rack for like a product you can purchase. But instead of purchasing the product, you can just see everything you have and what order to wear them in, and then go to the store and buy it. It'll show the correct order, and if you have like repeat awards, like if you have 2 National Defense Service medals, if you have 3 NAMs, it'll show the correct devices to stick in there. There are other and more official ways to make sure the order of precedence is right, but that's what I do. It's easy and it works and it's free. If you actually do have a large number of ribbons, like 15 or 10 or something, and there's devices all over it like stars and the E's on the E ribbon especially, because if you try to put them in yourself, they'll be all crooked and out of place and everything. If you have a large number of ribbons in a very complex ribbon rack, it may actually make sense to go and buy the preloaded one, the pre-manufactured one that you receive in the mail, and just stick on your uniform, because otherwise you're going to be like some kind of a doctor performing an operation on this ribbon rack, putting 15 devices on the different ribbons. Stars, oak leaves, V's for valor, E's on the E ribbon. It can be a really big hassle that you can skip over by buying it pre-made. But if you're someone like me that just has 6 ribbons with no devices on them, it only makes sense to skip over that, go to the next, buy the ribbons and the rack, stick it together, and it's going to be cheaper and not a problem. All right, lastly, we're going to talk about your records. And it's not always obvious you're going to be receiving an award. Unlike the movies, it's not going to be a big glamorous ceremony every time you receive an award, but it will be for like a NAM or something really important. But for like the GWAT, for national defense, for other stuff, it's just going to show up in your records. So what you can do is go on to Navy Quick Links and go on to NSIPs and look under awards to see what's listed under your name. You can go on to TWIMS, go to awards and quals, and everything is on there. And you can also go to like BOL and look up your unit and see if your unit received a unit award. It'll say like a certain date and time and you were there at the same time. You are allowed to wear that award. However, some awards that you received are never going to show up in your records until you enter them yourself. So like for example, my MUC, my Meritorious Unit Commendation, is on my eval, my evaluation, like a report card of how things have gone, but it's not in my records. So what I can do is take that eval, take it over to the admin department and show it to them and say, hey, can you please enter this into my record? It'll be entered. But for like MAs that earned the rifle ribbon in A school that never had it entered into the records, they can like call the A school and have them enter it into the records, or they can qualify here or their next command and they'll enter it into their records. Going into your records can be kind of interesting sometimes because you can look in there and see that you've been awarded things you didn't even realize you had. But there's a lot more to be said about U.S. Navy awards, but this really isn't a bad quick overview.